Marvin and I are back with another former client who we shall call N. Um, and, Marvin and I like you to hear different people's stories in regards to their SP and to give you a sense of the different experiences and processes that people go through. Uh, N's story is fascinating and, in my opinion, incredibly inspiring. Uh, However, warning, I would say, and that end story is more of an outlier than some of the stuff we share, in the sense that, well, we'll just talk about it now. But some of the stuff that you've done, and I is it's I would say uh, like special, or you not everyone's going to be able to do exactly what you have done, um, but they can definitely utilize the same tools that you utilize and um, get results from doing that. But I would say in many ways you're like an extreme example in the best way. Um, and like I said, you're someone who we've loved working with. Uh, yeah. So first of all, and hello, welcome and welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. So
Hi.
yeah, Marvin's doing his nice his nice soft voice. Hey, Marv.
Hi guys.
Uh, so yeah, I guess let's start. I mean, we can start wherever, but when we started, you started working with us in the summer, and
Yeah.
when you came to us, what was it that you were looking for? Because from what I remember, the way you described what you were looking for, it wasn't like I want my SP back, even though there was an SP and a whole story and history there. What was it that was primarily on your mind and focus? What made you reach out to us?
I think it was like I was super isolated and I just didn't know. I really wanted to connect with people and talk with people, but I just didn't know how to get out. Like I'm seeing a therapist, but I was just um way too deep in my stuff to just be like, oh, I'll just go outside. Oh, I'll just go do things. Like I would just psych myself out. Um, yeah, I was definitely in the process of doing somatic therapy, like before I reached out to you guys, but I was still just like, is anything gonna get better? Like, am I gonna be like this forever? Am I just stuck being isolated? Like, am I only gonna be terminally online? Yeah, I had a lot of those thoughts. Like, I just didn't know what to do next. I felt very stuck.
Yeah. And how long had like you been in kind of that state for?
It felt like probably for those 2 years. The ever since I got broken up with my SP, um, definitely way worse in the beginning, but I did feel pretty stagnant because I was like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know what to do with my life next. I don't know how to work through this stuff that I'm dealing with because I know at the end of the day, I still have my stuff that I have to work through and whatever about the SP.
Right.
Well, was the situation was it that bad before the SP situation, or you think the SP situation kind of exacerbated it?
It definitely made it worse. It definitely made it worse because I had to move and I had to move in like with my grandparents and I my family feels super toxic. So it just kind of I got like a bunch of stuff taken away from me and then I went in this place I didn't get to choose. So like it felt like a lot. Like I felt very low in
Yeah.
the beginning. Yeah. So I had to work through a lot of that stuff and was doing the best I could. That's why I feel like it took that long because I didn't know how to feel my feelings. I didn't know it was like so much. It was so much at once. It was just yeah. I didn't even know I was going to therapists and I didn't really like them until like I think I read the Letting Go book and I was like, huh. And then I somehow stumbled upon like somatic therapy and I was like, okay, maybe I should look to give this a shot. And I think that was like February of 2024 when I started doing that.
Right. And then you found us about a little bit less than a half year later.
Yeah.
Did you, actually forget, did you like, how involved were you like in the SP community, the Neville community? Because I know you had, like an online presence, you're very online. Did you ever get sucked into that world, that like SP world?
I think like I was in it before the SP stuff. I just was interested in it. I was like, this is kind of cool.
Right.
And then I lost my ex, and then I kind of fell into that a little bit. But I was just kind of like, I found other stuff that was like, you don't really want your SP, you kind of just want you. Like, you really want to focus on you and yourself. And I was like, I understood that logically, but at the time I was like so down in the dumps. Like I didn't emotionally get it. Like I couldn't fathom it. It didn't make any sense to me. So it just took me a long time to like get to where I'm at.
Well, I mean, Marvin, I would say that's normal. That's what we find. Most of our clients, I mean, people, you were in our mastermind group, like most of the people we work with are people who have struggled, who have, they've gone through the garbage heap for a while. They've gone through the garbage dump. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to heal myself. Because like the people who are like ready to heal them realize it's them and not their SP. They're not going on like watching these fucking crazy SP videos on YouTube or going on Reddit and being like, let me manipulate my person back. They're like, yeah, they're trying to find therapy or modality, like something to make them value themselves more. So I don't think that took you a long time. I think that's honestly pretty, I wouldn't put a length on it, an average length, but that seems pretty normal to me. Like for like a year and a half of just kind of like struggling. And then like, well, this somatic therapy, this letting go thing might be something.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, also my self concept was like so low. Like I literally I felt like rock bottom. So I feel like when I look at it now, the length is not that bad. But
The length is
then,
never that bad in hindsight.
okay,
That's what a lot of people think. The length they look at, and that's something that we always tell our clients is to look at time differently. 6 months, a year and a half is actually not a long time at all.
yeah,
It's not to take away though, at the same time, it fucking sucks when you're in it sometimes.
Right.
Sucks.
oh,
That's
I
the
For
know.
whole
sure.
thing. Yeah, that's
For
what's so
sure.
tough. I remember
Yeah,
when you came to us, I was like, this person, I remember you saying right away, like, I'm whatever you tell me to do, or like whatever I sign up with you guys to do, like I'm gonna do it. And
yeah,
so like I think both Marv and I knew right away, I was like, all right, this lady's serious. Like she's gonna do, she's gonna be there during calls and she's gonna be applying stuff. Um, but I mean, you were like pretty much, I don't remember the specifics, but you were like a rocket out of the gate. And I think this is maybe in part because you already had experience with somatic therapy,
yeah.
and feeling the feelings. But I mean, Marv, do you remember exactly beside what we told N, except for feel the feelings? And like, just, I remember recommending that book, Emotional Intimacy, to you. And what else did we tell N like initially?
Off the top of my head, I cannot remember. This is months ago.
Yeah. Do you remember, N? I mean, I think that was basically, we just encouraged you to feel the feelings, basically, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just keep feeling the feelings. And you guys just kept like encouraging me to just keep going. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep doing the thing. And then, yeah,
Yeah, and you were in the group every week, so you got constant confirmation from both us and other people in the group that like you were doing the right thing and not doing anything crazy. But like
yeah,
I remember, again, like you seemed really shy, and like you said, like I guess you say isolated, right? Like
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
afraid to talk to people.
that's what I remembered. That
yeah,
part, that part, and that's what she worked through relatively quickly, in my
Insanely
opinion.
quickly. I
Yeah,
mean, just
insanely quickly.
crazy quickly. And again, this is like being in a group, talking to us some and talking to a therapist, right? This is your situation is not going to be everybody. Okay. I want to make this clear for people listening, but holy shit. And like, I mean, it was not like you started feeling the feelings, And remember we had that conversation about like you didn't want to look people in the eye, or like you were afraid like that someone, if you look someone in the eye, they were gonna somehow, shame you or not like you.
Yeah.
Um, you just kept on feeling the feelings that came up and basically testing yourself. Am I right to say that? Like to see what would happen
Yeah.
next?
We addressed it.
Yeah.
We addressed that too because we also told her to go back to visit childhood stuff and sibling stuff and the comparison thing and where does this originate from? Where does that feeling of when you look someone in the eye and they don't say hi or they ignore you? Where does we addressed a lot of that stuff. As we're talking about it now, it's starting to come back to me what we discussed with her.
But yeah, I mean, I remember, like every group call there for a couple months in a row, it's like you'd have these stories of like, oh, I felt all this fear or shame or whatever came up, and I did this thing anyway. And we were all like, holy shit, like this is crazy. Here's this shy woman, and you're doing all this stuff like way out of your comfort zone, and just feel, and you're like, I feel like you were aware of what would come up while you did that. I don't mean to be putting words in your, you know, to your experience, but is that like kind of like what you would describe it as?
Yeah, it really is. Like my feelings would be like super intense and like I would have to like make sense of them. Like, oh, that's why I'm feeling this. This is what's going on right now. And yeah,
But didn't you
it's got
not go ahead, I'm sorry.
no go ahead.
I was gonna say, it wasn't there something along the lines of you were suppressing
Yeah,
something for so long for some I don't remember if it was from a family member or something like that, but it was something that you were suppressing for so long. And then when we realized why you were suppressing, where that original suppression came from, which is why I guess potentially you were had that sort of fear of talking to people, meeting people, not speaking
yeah,
your truth or
expressing my
whatever the case may
emotions.
be. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Like I said, as we're talking about it now, it's kind of starting to come back to me because this was months ago during the summertime that we were really having breakthroughs with you, and now we're just talking to this, 2 months, second month in 2025. But now I remember suppression was a big thing, and not speaking, not saying your truth, and certain things like that. And like I said, the comparison thing between yourself and siblings and that sort of thing, and not thinking you're good enough and all that type of stuff. I mean, self concept 101. But like Tim was saying, you worked through that, and you,
you guys really with the communication. Actually, like that was really big. The communication thing, I just kept doing it. I just kept going. Like I kept opening my mouth. And then the more I opened my mouth, the more I saw that people aren't going to come after me. People are not going to attack me. Like I still have times where people feel unsafe, but I will just keep going. Like I keep opening my mouth, I keep saying things, or like I used to be afraid of having a conversation with people in a restaurant because I'm afraid that other people are listening and judging me or something. And it's like now it's like I'm just gonna do it anyways. I'm just here with this other person. The other people are irrelevant. And it's like stuff like that. Like the communication was pretty, you guys really helped me with that.
And what you would do, right, is like if the feeling came up during that situation or later, you would sit with it, right, or be with it, and
Yeah,
parent it basically.
yeah. Or even then, even sometimes then when I have it come up in the like when I was having it in the restaurant, I'll just be like, I'm okay. You're okay. And I started to like open up. I started to feel more at ease and just be comfortable in that new area because that's kind of what it is. Like I just have to get what's that word? There's a word. I don't know, maybe like adjusted. It's something along the line, oriented to the new place that I'm safe. Yeah.
yeah. And I think if my memory serves me correctly, I think I had you do chakra stuff too with your throat, right?
Yeah. That was
Something
really
like,
early on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was really early on. Because I remember, again, like you're mentioning, you had that. thing about not wanting to speak up, not wanting to stand up for yourself, thinking I'm going to cause a problem, or this is going to turn into this, and this is going to turn into this. And again, this comes back from family stuff. This is for so many people. When you hear your parents arguing, and you see a parent, it could be your mom, it could be your dad, just sit there and not say anything, and then you watch stuff like that growing up, and then you kind of take on those traits without being aware, and then you start to realize, holy shit, I'm my mom 2.0, or I'm my father 2.0, whatever that case might be. And so this is why a lot of times we tell people this stuff ain't one size fits all. Shout out to all the coaches out there. You know, they have their place. I've said that in past videos, but this is the type of work Tim and I do with people. And affirmation ain't gonna solve that stuff a lot of times. You know, visualization ain't gonna solve that stuff a lot of times. And if I remember, did you work with anybody before us? I'm talking about LOA wise.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember, and I'm glad we just so
Made
happened to
the
be
most sense to me. You guys made the most sense to me. Like
the.
that's
And
why I was like,
you went to therapists and you went to us. I mean, that's,
yeah,
semi-sane people.
I'm glad. Yeah, no, I'm glad. Like, I'm glad that you came to us first, because I always tell people who you find first in LOA could determine how fast or how successful you're going to be in this stuff. Because people that don't find people like me and Tim, it can end up really bad for those guys. Because the advice that they're getting, and like you said, I'm glad you just said that for everyone to hear. The stuff that we say, it just makes sense. And it might not be the shiny object stuff that you want to hear about, oh, I'm going to get my ex back quickly, but it makes sense. And most people, it takes them a while to see that. They want to go to the coaches with the shiny object first, and then they want to come to Tim and I. After going to the shiny object coaching doesn't work, they see this is going to take a lot longer, or they see, okay, my SP did come back, but I lost him again. Now what?
Most people run from the feelings. And, I think, and like you're describing, the first, after your SP left, or you had to move out from your SPs, the first year and a half, you didn't want to run from your feelings, but you didn't know how the hell to handle them. And then you slowly started figuring it out. And then I think, when you hooked up with us, it was kind of like, we made it seem like this all makes sense. And
yeah, I
like
put more people in it.
yeah, exactly. And like, the shame I feel, or this fear, I can be with it. It's not going to kill me.
Yeah.
It's actually going to, potentially help me, tell me something. And I mean, you're a master at like listening to it and then let it tell you something. And, you went from this very shy person to someone who did a bunch of stuff that people will never do in their lives. I remember you had this situation where we were encouraging you to do online dating or something. And, you were like, all right, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. And then like you went on like 2 or 3 dates in a week.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna do this for XP. I'm gonna just pretend like I'm playing a game. Doing this for XP. I don't really care what happens. I just want to get through it, just show myself that this is not as bad as I think it is.
Yeah,
And
that was wild. I
yeah,
remember that. Didn't you go skating too?
yeah, I did.
Yeah, you were conquering the world. Just Carmen San Diego. Where in the world is in at? Carmen San Diego. The youngins probably don't remember that. We remember that.
Oh yeah, where
Yeah.
in the world is Carmen San Diego? Yeah, I mean, you're really a testament and an inspiration. Like, I keep on using that word, but you've been a big inspiration for me, because it's like, wow, like watch and just like feel it, feel the fear, get intimate with it, and fucking do it anyway. And these are the kind of tools that I think we don't have to tell you anymore, because you're grounded in this stuff that are going to serve you the rest of your life going forward. We were talking before we were pressed record, just like, about some relationship stuff. And you were basically like, well, I'll just see what happens. Or like, I can wait and see what happens. I have options, basically. how would you
Yeah.
compare that outlook to where you were like 7 or 8 months ago?
Yeah, it's like weird. Like back then I was like I felt like I was stuck and I was like alone and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get out of where I was feeling really bad. And then now it's just like I'm like I'm chilling. Like even if I have a bad day, I'm just kind of like something good might happen and something bad might happen. Like, but I feel mostly like everything's okay. Like there's no catastrophe. There's nothing super painful. Like I again I did get triggered when I saw that thing with my SP, but like it just held it and it just worked with it. And
Right.
I'm not like perfect. Like there's still sometimes when I'll like push away an emotion or I will suppress an emotion sometimes like but like there's times when I'm like there something really like yells on me. I'm like, all right, it's time. I have to work on this. But yeah, it's
But in let me ask you this.
yeah.
How much did how much would you say being in a group in our mastermind, listening to other people's struggles, listening to other people's successes or failures, how much do you think that contributed to you looking at your own situation and saying, you know what, I can get through this because I think I'm going through something, but listen at what this person or that person is going through. My situation is nothing like theirs. So now I have the strength to get through this.
Yeah, actually that was really helpful too because it was like, okay, I'm not the only one like having stuff happen, like or have nothing happen or like feel stuck. Like I'm not the only person. Like I felt more human, like more normal. Like I wasn't like, oh, I'm a big failure and I'm stuck. And it really did it helped a lot, actually. That was another thing that like really got me to where I'm at. Where I was just like, okay, I can, I'm gonna be good. We're gonna be good.
Exactly. Yeah, you get in a group that's of like-minded individuals that are again sane and make sense about this stuff in terms of how they're applying it, and you just don't feel as alone. There's that level of support that uh, is very, very helpful. I think that's why group coaching can be hugely beneficial for a lot of us. Um,
When you're in the right group.
when you're in the right, well, that goes without saying. I'm
Yeah.
thinking more. I mean, I'm thinking of our group. I'm also thinking about like
Yeah.
a good small therapy group of, you know what I mean, or like a good AA group or something, or like something like that, right? It has to be the right people. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm curious too. You don't have to elaborate if you don't want to, but I mean, you've had a lot of kind of wild experiences since in the last half year. We were, if your SP situation, your original SP, it's interesting some of the revelations you've had about how it's not about him, it's about something else in many ways. Do you care to talk about that? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, how would you like me to start that? Like, how I got triggered on Saturday?
Well, yeah, recently, or just the stuff that's come up the last couple months, or Saturday. I mean, it's more. I think people will be interested in just some of the revelations you've had about shaming yourself and your self-worth and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. So on Saturday, that's when I saw my SP was with someone else. I didn't know if they were together or not. Um, but it like triggered like that I'm not good enough. I wasn't picked. Like that I'm not good. Like worthy wound. Like I saw it come up and I saw it for exactly what it is. It's like this has nothing to do with them because if it's not them, it might be projected on something else. But I just saw it for what it was and like I acknowledged it and I just felt it and I like took care of it and I said like even though I'm feeling this way, I still am worthy and deserving of love. And I let it be there for a bit. I got some water. Like I very lovingly did that too. Took my time. Like, this really sucks, but I'm gonna take care of myself right now. And then I did some EFT tapping with like Brad Yates because that just feels good. I always do that sometimes when like the emotions are super big. I'll just do some EFT tapping. And then I went to sleep and I woke up and it was a lot better. Like the pain was like more like an eighth of what it was. Like it was crazy how much of a difference it was.
Right.
And yeah,
And I mean, that's where I say you're a bit of an anomaly in the best sense, where not everybody can do that. And a lot of that is also things you can learn. I don't know if you can get, if you're doing this work, if everybody can get down to like an eighth of the intensity when it's a situation like that within 24 hours, but you certainly can dramatically reduce it by doing somatic work and the stuff that N has, implemented. And as you become more aware, it becomes easier to do this. What Marvin and I see all the time are people when they find out something about their SP, or something triggers them, right, and they're unable to get out of that panic mode. And you are a great example of someone who's taught themselves how to get out of that panic mode with love, self-compassion, patience, and listening. And because that, it enables you to really navigate your emotions in a way that, just most people don't even know is an option. And it also makes it so, as uncomfortable you might be in a social situation, at one point, you're going to get through it. And what is it? We were talking a couple of weeks ago, like you were talking about doing something, you're like, you rationally told you told your mind, like, fuck it. If this doesn't work, I'll just go back into my house and never go out again. But it always works. No matter what the situation is. And it just reminds me of like, like a lot of the great performers or whatever, they still get nervous before each show or something like that. But then they put on the great show, right? It's that kind of outlook or whatever. You've cultivated that. It's very, again, it's something to see, to witness.
thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to share that, like kind of like that mentality you have, like when you're scared, or like what you do and then you get
When I'm doing something new, it's like, because again, I still get it. Like, it's not as intense, but I still get it. It's like when I go to do something new, I'm like, if I look like an idiot or I humiliate myself, I'll just go right back home and I'll never come out again. I don't have to go back. I don't have to come here again. I'm just gonna stay at home, go right back to square one. I'll be okay. And then I go and do it.
right? And it always tends to work out. Yeah. So sometimes like tricking your brain in that way can be really helpful, like, because it makes it feel safe if you say that. And there's all these other kinds of ways to work with your mind and that to make it feel like it's okay. We're going to do this now. You're scared. No big deal. Long term, no big deal. Like I'm here to take care of you anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been really nice to talk to you about this. Uh, any final questions, Marv, or any final words of wisdom, man?
And
I think just like go easy on yourself if you're doing any somatic stuff, and like you don't have to be perfect. And like I said, I don't feel my stuff all the time. Like there'll be some days where I'll suppress, I'll distract, but like just go easy on yourself and take it one one day at a time, and you got this. That's it.
Great. From a master somatic worker. Thank you, Anne. All right,
Thank you.
guys. Until next time, be well.